Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network, presented to you by our sponsors, BetMGM. My name is Michael Leboff. Joining me, as always, is Nick Martin. And Nick, Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights are up 1-0 in the best of seven Stanley Cup final. 5-2 win. I think the scoreline's a little flattering. 7 power plays for the Knights. 46 penalty minutes in total for the Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk sent to the showers early. It was just nice to have a hockey game back on. You and I are off to a good start. We had talked about how we liked the over. We liked Anthony Duclair as an anytime goal scorer. Those things came to fruition. Of course, I gave out the Nick Cousins 200-1 lead the series in goals, and he's definitely going to lose by 1 now because he got that now famous save by Adin Hill, of course, came against our man Nick Cousins. But all in all, a good start. So let's head into game 2. The Knights -140 at BetMGM. Cats +120, over under at 6. The over +100. So we're already moved off the 5.5 that we saw for game 1. Any thoughts here?
I think on the total, they've already probably moved past. I was thinking over 5.5 at -115 probably would be where I would jump back in and play that again, but it's probably just they made the right adjustment. So nothing there. And then I think probably +120. I know that I think that's where BetMGM's at for the Panthers as a side would be my lean. It's probably still not my favorite play on the game, which would be some props, but probably the value side if maybe they bring it a little more.
Yes, stay out of the penalty box a little bit would be nice. I
Stay
like
out
the
of the
Panthers.
box. I think I was just gonna say, yeah, I think that was maybe the first game this playoffs. I would give it to Paul that he actually might have had a legitimate beef that the reffing was not in the Panthers' favor. I think he's cried unreasonably a lot this postseason, but I just watched it through and through, and it did seem like the count was bad. The missed call on Cousins was horrific in real time. I mean, obviously, I was kind of looking for it, but I thought they were a little hard done by. It seemed like Vegas had slightly more of the chances. Analytically, I think they're probably favored more than they deserve to be. I looked in their sites that had them at about 4.5 expected goals, which seems a little
the
generous,
empty,
but
yeah, the I should say the late game stuff. I think played into that, and then the 5-on-5 numbers basically dead even. I think that's encouraging for Florida. We all kind of expected Vegas to be to at least have more of the puck, and maybe they will, but not a bad start for Florida at 5-on-5. A couple things in addition. I like the Panthers. I think that they're actually worth it to chase some prices on like reverse puck lines and stuff. And my thinking here is that, look, when if they solve Adin Hill, it's likely that he just comes undone in the game, right? Like it's not sure they might win 2-1, but like it's just as likely that they pump 6 past him because he's a goaltender that's graded out as bang average as a backup for his NHL career so far. So I don't think that it's a bad idea to kind of bet into that. The Adin Hill blow up game. Whether you do it with like a alternate spread of -1.5 for Florida, some sort of anytime goal scorer combination, however you want to do it. I think that angle is worth attacking, not just in game 2, but I just think in general, he'll probably continue to get too much respect from folks.
yeah, and I thought his game is really interesting how it matches up versus Florida because he sits so deep. Like he's just huge. And there's a few like Barkov almost kind of deceptively tricked him from just about the hash marks. And I think in some ways it's a bad matchup because it does help guard against some of those rebounds where he's already well set. He's sitting so
Mhm.
deep that if you're not going to beat him on some of those mid-range shots, it's tough. But I think I think it's gettable. I agree. It looked like they definitely could have garnered more than they did. I wonder, like, is that a bad look for your boy Nick Cousins that it was both smart on you and It's like you pick the guy who can't finish
Can
that
you?
tap
I
in, but
know.
as you said,
Come
he's in
on.
the right spot because of the guys he's playing with. I
It's
thought
unbelievable.
on the Florida side of things, I think going back to Duclair in some fashion, he was really jumping. Like he had his legs moving. I thought him and Barkov both looked really good together. I'd probably lean towards playing Duclair over Verhage. Maybe I'll say that and be wrong, but I just feel like getting the better number for Duclair with how he's looking out of the wingers on that line is something interesting. And then I thought on the Vegas side of things, one thing that could continue to be good is maybe going with Theodore or maybe trying some of the D to break through. Because I thought one of like the clear strengths was that they were getting good point shots through and getting good net front presences on those, which maybe compared to Carolina, they have a few more forwards that are really getting in there and willing to battle and do that. So I think that's one where like when you look at how you're going to have to beat Bobrovsky, that might be something you're trying to replicate right after it worked. I think that he really made us look bad versus Edmonton. And then, of course, we weren't on it here, but going back to Shea Theodore to get either a point, a goal, or 3 shots is something I kind of like because I just feel like you see that kind of game from him. I was wondering why his offensive flair wasn't really showing versus Edmonton. It seemed like he got going a bit versus Dallas, and then that kind of game to start off the final. I think he's probably a good Vegas guy to target and just look for him to stay hot after that performance. I think 3 shots plus 120 is very playable. Plus 700 for a goal, plus 330 power play point, plus one, what I have, plus 108, I think, for point is out there. So I like those. I think I'll probably look for Theodore to follow up that performance and hopefully like a little more action, I think. And oh yeah, and then the last note that I'd put down, I think that if you can get overtime at plus 350, that's interesting. Because that game was like right there. And I think there's a lot of reasons like Florida, pretty much the back half of this playoff has played exclusively really close 1 goal games. And I think at that number, seems like game 2 could set up. Maybe they both bring it tight. I think overtime is a worthy punt.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm gonna continue down the Panthers kind of blowout win route here. I think that a couple guys, you mentioned Duclair, I think as like a anytime goal scorer, to score 2 is fine too, if you can get like a decent number out there as well. I think Gustav Forsling,
I That's funny you say that. I knew you were gonna go there and I like it.
yeah, so I was at the darts over the weekend with Tim Kalinowski, and we were talking first goal scorer plays, and Forsling to me I think is always playable at big numbers. So um I'm probably gonna be on him. And I was on Nick Hague, and you mentioned about the Vegas D. He's always a big price too. So uh he's get some spot duty on power play time and such, and him and White Cloud seem to have a pretty good game in game 1. So Hague, Forsling, Duclair, those are gonna be my guys, but really I'm just hoping that Nick Cousins scores 4.
And
Maybe starts burying chances that
to back up the Forsling call a little more too, like there's quite a few of those sequences where it's kind of just rush up the ice both ways, like breaks one way, next way, and the fourth D is, or the fourth man being the first D is jumping up in there and getting a good chance. And I Forsling's great at that. So
yeah,
if we
he did
see
against the Leafs game
yeah, for
2. Yeah.
sure. So if we see a couple more sequences like that, he's definitely the kind of guy you want to hold the ticket on. So I like Forsling too. His number's super long and he's very capable and gets a ton of ice. So at least you get a good sweat too.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? He's a good market for too is uh overtime scores. Like he's the type of guy that you want to have the back of your mind as we get towards the end of regulation and you're looking to bet the goal scorer market in overtime. So Forsling is for sure. So
Love it.
yeah.
And I think this time of year, like for me, I might look at it a little different than other people. I'm not trying to slam big units on like a single and a side. I don't think it's like the regular season where you can line up these spots. And some people might see it otherwise. I'm not trying to like deter you from that. But for me, I don't have as many of these ones where I'm like, Florida's going to dominate them today. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Mhm.
there's a lot where it's like, it's going to be a competitive game. It's probably going to come down to a bounce or two. Whereas in the regular season, I think you can pick out these ones where like you're like, I don't think this team's going to show up. I think this other side, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
something like that, where now it's like you're really counting on just the right read on like who's going to kind of outplay the other one and so on, which I think is a little tougher. So yeah, that's where I love like, you want to watch this game. They're going to, it was a great game one, I thought. So hopefully this series
Yeah.
kind of continues down that road and doesn't go down the road that last round went.
Um, yeah, let's hope. Uh, and like you said, like I remember last year, I want to say it was I can't remember what game it was, but uh, I had Jan Ruda to score first in one of the Stanley Cup final games at 80-1. And I remember after he scored, like everyone was like, Jan Ruda, really? And I just tweeted out my ticket. I was like, yeah. But that's what it is. It's the Stanley Cup final. We got maybe 3, max 6 games left. Have a little fun. But like that's why I like that angle of the Hill blow up game. Like think about it from that kind of way. Like you do a little more handicapping than just looking at how the expected goals went in game one. You pick your angle. Whether maybe you think it's the Aiden Hill's just he's in great form and it's not going to get beat. So bet into that angle. But like I said, find your angle. Ours right now is the Gustav Forsling coming out party for game 2. And that's where we'll leave it. All right. We'll see you guys again after game 3. Excuse me, after game 2, before game 3. Try to record that one Monday night after the game. For Dick Martin, I'm Michael Leboff. Thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM. Good luck with all your bets in game 2.